Competitor, man. Like, he's been a competitor all his life. I mean, you a fan of, his family, especially with Dion. Them guys was right there in my backyard in Jackson State. So, I was kind of watching them, especially when they was at Jackson State. So, I've been knew he was a competitor. I mean, it's the reason why you see the pre-draft things with him and Shedeur. I mean, him and Cam. So, it's like, he's a competitor. He's going to talk smack. I love it. I told him, we talked out the game and throughout the game, like, that's his team now. So he going to be a star in this league. He already a star. So you enjoy it when you playing against a guy like that. That's can give you a little smack talk back, but you also got to kind of let him know he's still a rookie. I told him that. He was like, "God damn, you back here every play." I'm like, "He's a rookie." So, but no, it was fun. It was fun to be able to smack talk, but also still respect the game.
The Cleveland Browns are having another crazy week. And even though we're all still rightfully angry at Kevin Stefanski for continuing to sabotage Shedeur Sanders, the latest game brought up an interesting subplot that needs to be looked into more closely. Jeffrey Simmons, a defensive lineman for the Tennessee Titans, is a huge guy who is one of the most feared pass rushers in the NFL. He and Shedeur Sanders had a heated argument during their game. And what happened between these two competitors? You can tell how much respect Shedeur is getting around the league by how the game went and what Simmons said about it afterward. This is even though his own coaching staff keeps working against him. Let's set the scene right, because the setting is very important here. Jeffrey Simmons isn't just any defensive lineman. This guy is a beast, a force that dominates and scares offensive lines all over the NFL. When he gets a sack, he celebrates like a boss. That's exactly what happened when he took down Shedeur Sanders in this game. Simmons put Shedeur on the ground, stood over him, and did the wrist-up celebration. You know the move. The dismissive gesture that says, "I just destroyed you, and I want everyone to know it." It's the kind of trash talk that happens in competitive football games every week. It's not out of the ordinary. Nothing that goes beyond the normal level of disrespect in NFL games. Just one competitor telling another that he won that battle. But this is where things get really, really good. Shedeur Sanders is not the kind of player who forgets things. He doesn't ignore disrespect when it happens. He wasn't going to let Jeffery Simmons win their ongoing competition, that's for sure. So when Shedeur threw a touchdown pass later in the game, a perfect strike that found the end zone with accuracy and calmness, he didn't run to celebrate with his teammates right away. Instead, he went looking for Jeffrey Simmons. Yes, that's right. While the rest of the Browns' offense was celebrating the score and his teammates were jumping around in excitement, Shedeur Sanders was looking for number 98 on the field so he could return the favor. You can see it clearly in the video. Shedeur throws the ball for a touchdown, a perfect pass that shows why Kevin Stefanski should never take him out on the goal line. The ball hits the receiver in stride, and Shedeur gets 6 points. Instead of joining the celebration in the end zone, he turns around and starts looking for Simmons. He sees him on the other side of the field, runs straight toward him, and then hits Simmons in the face with his own wrist-up celebration. The message was very clear. You got me earlier, but I just got you back. And I made sure you knew it. That's the fire of competition. That's the kind of attitude you want from your starting quarterback. That person won't let anyone disrespect them without saying something. The conversation between them was electric. There was trash talk between the two players. Both were completely focused on the competition. And it was clear that both of them were having fun with the fight. This is football at its most basic. Two top competitors going back and forth, pushing each other to do better, through competition and respect that looks like anger. What happened wasn't meant to hurt anyone. No dirty moves, no cheap shots, and no actions that were disrespectful. Two players who know that football is a physical and emotional game, and that the best way to show respect for your opponent is to give it your all and let them know when you've won a battle. The Tennessee Titans won the game, which is frustrating for Browns fans, but not surprising given how poorly the team is run. What Jeffrey Simmons said about Shedeur Sanders in his post-game press conference is what makes this story so interesting. Simmons could have ignored the reporters' questions about the trash talk and competition between them, or he could have downplayed it, or taken another shot at the rookie quarterback. He instead showed Shedeur a lot of respect, and gave us some important information about how other teams see the young quarterback. Simmons talked about how badly the Titans needed a win, how they hadn't won since Week 5, and how good it felt to finally get back in the win column on the road in a place where they weren't welcome. He talked about the weather, the crowd, and everything else that made this game hard. But when asked directly about the environment and his performance, Simmons admitted something very important. He said, "The Browns have a young quarterback that they stay behind right now." The way he said it is important. He didn't say that the Browns have a rookie who is having a hard time and is trying to figure things out. He didn't say that Cleveland is having trouble with its quarterback. He said that the fans, the organization, and most importantly, the players are all behind their young quarterback. That recognition from a veteran defender who has seen every type of quarterback in this league says a lot about how much respect Shedeur is earning. Jeffery Simmons knows what's going on in Cleveland. He knows that even though they have lost, the organization is in disarray, and Kevin Stefanski keeps trying to sabotage them. The Browns' locker room has come together around Shedeur Sanders. Myles Garrett, Quincy Williams, and Harold Fannin Jr. are all supporting their rookie quarterback because they see how talented he is, how hard he works, how competitive he is, and how he never makes excuses, even when things are impossible for him week after week. Simmons also talked about how he competes, which helps explain the conversation. He said he plays with passion and joy, and that football is a game for kids, so that's how he plays it. When fans give him the bird or make things uncomfortable for him, it makes him want to do better instead of bothering him. He loves playing in those kinds of situations because they give him energy and make him want to win. That's the kind of attitude Shedeur Sanders has on the field too. Both players know that trash talk, celebrations, and a competitive spirit are all parts of what makes football fun. They aren't taking it personally. They're doing what competitors have always done, pushing each other to do better through challenge and response. The fact that they don't have any bad blood after the game shows that they respect each other, even though they are competitors. Simmons wasn't trying to be rude to Shedeur when he celebrated after the sack. He was celebrating a good play at the time, showing how much he loved the game, and talking trash like every NFL player does on Sundays. And Shedeur's answer didn't come from real anger or disrespect. It was a rival who wouldn't let someone have the last word, making sure that if you celebrate against him, he'll find a way to get back at you. That's the kind of back and forth that makes football interesting, gives fans something to talk about besides the final score, and makes rivalries and storylines. But we need to be clear about one important thing. Shedeur is giving it his all and showing the kind of fire and determination that should make Browns fans excited about their future. But his own coaching staff is still working against him. That touchdown Shedeur threw, which led to him finding Jeffery Simmons to celebrate, is a perfect example of why Kevin Stefanski's decision to always take Shedeur out of goal line situations is completely crazy. This quarterback can throw perfect passes in the red zone, has the arm strength to fit balls into tight spaces, and can quickly figure out defenses to make the right read. But Stefanski keeps benching him for wildcat formations that haven't worked all season. Skip Biss completely tore apart Kevin Stefanski in his analysis after the game. And to be honest, Skip can be a jerk sometimes, but he was completely right about this. Skip said that Stefanski should be fired. Not as a hot take meant to stir up controversy, but as a real look at a coaching staff that has been undermining their rookie quarterback since he got to Cleveland. Skip said that Stefanski didn't want Shedeur Sanders, not even in the 5th round, and has done everything he can to keep Shedeur from Sittingly. Why did Stefanski pull Shedeur for the possible tying 2-point conversion, using a wildcat formation that had looked bad earlier in the game? Why does he always take Shedeur out of the red zone, stopping him from getting touchdown passes and keeping his stats low? Why did Stefanski use that same wildcat nonsense in Shedeur's first start against the Raiders, instead of letting his quarterback run the show? The pattern suggests that someone is trying to sabotage Shedeur on purpose in order to limit his success and support Stefanski's apparent belief that the rookie shouldn't be starting. Skip's look at Shedeur's play in this last game shows exactly why the coaching staff's method is so annoying. Shadur threw for 364 yards and 3 touchdowns. He was the Browns' leading rusher and scored a rushing touchdown from 7 yards out. He led an 80-yard drive in 7 plays that put Cleveland in a position to tie the game. He threw a beautiful fade rainbow to rookie Harold Fannin Jr. for a touchdown that showed off his arm strength and touch. This was Shedur's best game as a professional by any standard. And what did he get for doing that? He was on the bench for the most important play of the game, watching from the sideline as another Wildcat disaster happened. Skip said something that fans have been saying all season. Cleveland has been looking for Shedeur Sanders. This is the quarterback they've needed for a long time. People are still watching Shedeur Sanders play football. Even though his team is bad, his coaches are trying to hurt him, and the organization is broken at every level. You are watching him, no matter how much you love or hate him, or how much you want him to succeed or fail. That's what star power is. That's the kind of presence that makes a franchise go from being forgettable to must-see TV. When was the last time the Cleveland Browns were this fun to watch? When was the last time people all over the country watched Browns games? Not because they had to, but because they were really interested in what would happen. When was the last time a Browns quarterback got this much attention, made this many headlines, and sparked this level of heated debate? The answer is never, or at least not for a long time. Shedeur Sanders has done something amazing. Even though he plays for a team that loses and a coaching staff that doesn't believe in him, he's made the Browns important again. Skip's mention of the comparison to Cam Ward is very important. Ward was the first overall pick and the quarterback that everyone thought was the best in the draft class. But when they played each other, Shedeur completely outplayed him. The numbers weren't even close. The eye test was very much in Shedeur's favor. Every objective measure of how well a quarterback played showed that the rookie picked in the 5th round did much better than the player picked first overall. And Skip, who had been saying before the draft that Tennessee should have picked Shedeur first overall, was completely right. Mel Kiper also thought Shedeur was the best quarterback in the draft class, and both analysts are looking more right every week. If it weren't so sad for Browns fans, the irony of this situation would be funny. The team accidentally found their franchise quarterback in the 5th round, getting a top-tier player at a huge discount because other teams believed false stories about Shedeur's intelligence, work ethic, and readiness for the NFL. Cleveland should be celebrating this amazing stroke of luck by building their whole offense around getting the most out of Shedeur's many skills and riding this young quarterback to respectability and relevance. Instead, their head coach is working against him. Their play calling doesn't take advantage of his strengths, and their lack of organization could waste another great player. Jeffrey Simmons' polite acknowledgement of Shedeur after their competitive exchange shows how the rest of the league sees this situation. Shedeur's talent is known by veteran players in the NFL. They see how hard he works, how competitive he is, and how he won't back down from anyone. They know he's one of a kind and has what it takes to be the best. It seems like the only people who can't see it are the coaches of the Cleveland Browns, and that gap is getting harder and harder to ignore. Browns players have come together to support Shedeur, even though the team is having a hard time. This says a lot about his character and leadership. Myles Garrett, a well-known and respected player in the locker room and one of the best defensive players in football, has publicly backed Shedeur. Quincy Williams has shown that he is on board. The rookie receiver Harold Fannin Jr., who caught that beautiful touchdown pass, clearly has a great relationship with his quarterback. These players aren't just going through the motions or giving their teammates support because they have to. These are real endorsements from players who see Shedeur practice every day, know what he's going through, and believe he can lead this team to success. The way Shedeur's teammates see him and the way his coaches treat him are very different, which makes things very difficult. When the coaches don't believe in the quarterback, the locker room can't keep winning in the NFL. That disconnect eventually destroys the culture of the team, splits it up into groups, and either causes changes in coaches or players to leave. The Browns are getting very close to that breaking point, and if the owners don't step in soon, they will lose either their head coach or their franchise quarterback. Anyone who is paying attention should be able to tell that Kevin Stefanski is the better choice over Shedeur Sanders. Skip Biss's pointing out the red zone sabotage is very important because it shows a pattern that goes beyond just the two-point conversion decisions. Stefanski has a strange habit of taking Shadur out of the game and replacing him with gadget plays, wildcat formations, or heavy run packages whenever the Browns get close to the goal line. The reason given is probably something about matchups or weaknesses in the defense, but the real result is that Shadur is being kept from getting touchdown passes, which keeps his stats lower than they should be and stops him from building red zone chemistry with his receivers. This isn't just bad coaching. This is a planned way to stop a young quarterback from getting better and making plays. If Shadur kept failing in the red zone, like making bad choices or not being able to do what he needed to do, then you might be able to explain why you were limiting his chances. But that's not what's going on. Shadur has been very aware of the red zone, made smart choices, and thrown accurate passes when he had the chance. The touchdown to Fannin that Skip talked about was a great example. A hard throw that needs touch, timing, and trust was done perfectly under pressure. That's not someone who needs to be kept safe or limited in the red zone. That person should have every chance to grow and show off their skills in those important situations. The conversation between Shadur and Jeffrey Simmons shows something beautiful about football that people sometimes forget about when they talk about it. At its heart, this is still a game played by people who love to fight, respect each other enough to fight hard, and know that trash talk and celebrations are part of the fun. Shedur's finding Simmons after that touchdown to bring back the wrist-up celebration was not rude. It was the right thing for a competitor who won't back down, knows how to compete, and knows that in the NFL, you have to respond when someone challenges you. Jeffrey Simmons' comment after the game that the Browns organization and fans are supporting Shadur shows that players on the other team are aware of what's going on in Cleveland. They know that even though they have lost games and the coaching staff isn't working well together, something special is happening around this young quarterback. For the first time in years, they see a player getting fans excited. Even though things are crazy outside, they see that their locker room is united behind their signal caller. They see a quarterback who has the skills, confidence, and drive to win at the highest level. Everyone else sees it, but Kevin Stefanski and his coaching staff don't. Now the question is, how much longer this can go on before something has to change? You can't expect good results for your organization if you keep elite talent from working for you for a long time. You can't consistently hurt your franchise quarterback's growth and stats while still being trusted by players, fans, and the media. You can't keep making clearly bad choices at important times and then hide behind vague coach talk about process and competition. Eventually, the pressure gets too high, the proof too strong, and the results too bad to ignore. What they're seeing is not good enough for Browns fans. They need a coaching staff that knows how to get the most out of the players they have. They should have game plans that highlight their quarterback's strengths instead of downplaying his role. They should get honest answers about how decisions are made instead of being pushed away and held accountable for nothing. Most importantly, they should see their franchise quarterback given every chance to do well instead of being systematically undermined by the people who are supposed to be helping him grow. Shadur Sanders has handled this impossible situation with great poise and maturity. He plays with fire and passion, as shown by his fight with Jeffery Simmons. He stays professional at press conferences even though he is clearly upset with the choices his coaching staff makes. Even though he is set up to fail, he keeps getting ready and working. He gets his teammates fired up and earns the respect of his opponents through his actions and character. He's doing everything a franchise quarterback should do. Checking off every box you want from your quarterback, and his own coaches are still working against him. The Jeffrey Simmons case is a great example of what kind of competitor Sanders is. He's not going to back down from anyone. He won't let people disrespect him without saying something. At all times, he is doing everything he can to win. Great quarterbacks have that competitive fire, that refusal to be put down, and that faith in their own skills even when things are tough. They show these qualities when they score a touchdown or talk trash. Cleveland accidentally found someone special, and they're dangerously close to losing him because the organization isn't doing its job right. What do you think about the heated argument between Shadur Sanders and Jeffrey Simmons? Does it show the competitive spirit you want in your franchise quarterback? Does Simmons' respect for Shadur after the game show that other players know what Cleveland's coaches won't admit? How much longer can the Browns keep hurting their best player before things get out of hand? Please share your thoughts in the comments. This story gets more interesting and more frustrating every week. If you like Shedur's competitive spirit and are as sick of Kevin Stefanski's constant sabotage as we are, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and ring the notification bell so you never miss when we talk about the latest news in this ongoing disaster. This is Keep the Vision, and we're going to keep making these coaches accountable until things change in Cleveland.